All right, what's going on, everybody? So, continuing the conversation with Andrew Yang and the War on Normal People, I wanted to go over chapter 3 titled Who is Normal in America? So, chapter 3, Who is Normal in America? This chapter mainly sort of tackles the title of the book because the title of the book is The War on Normal People by Andrew Yang. And he really goes into describing what he considers to be normal in America. Obviously, America is a very big country, very unique to a lot of other countries in the world. In fact, a lot of the states are as big as some countries that exist in the world, and the United States obviously are all connected. So you can't necessarily compare what is normal in one part of the country versus what is normal in another part of the country. And he also goes down and breaks into the numbers on medium incomes based on educational attainment, um, wealth. He breaks down into the disparities between gender, between racial classes. So he starts off by asking the question, what is a normal person in America? And he goes in and he actually describes talking to people all over the country, such as single moms in New Orleans, an Iraq vet working as a security guard in Detroit, a bartender in Cleveland, and basically all of their stories were normal for them and for their context. Okay, so to begin breaking into some of the numbers, if you have a graduate or professional degree, you are in the top 12% of the population by educational attainment. The average American achieves something between one credit of college and an associate degree. 60.25% of Americans 25 years and older have attended some college, and 43.51% have at least an associate's degree. Um, so the median income for households in 2016 was $59,309. So when you speak about households, you're talking usually about man and wife. So a combined income, the median income was close to $60,000. However, the median personal income in the U.S. was $31,099 in 2016, and the mean was 46,550. So just for clarification, median would be like if you line everybody's wages up, and whichever one kind of ends up in the middle, that would be the median. Whereas the mean are all of the wages averaged out. So what ends up happening is the mean gets dragged up by the handful of people making millions at the top. The median is the midpoint if you lined everyone up by income. Half of Americans make less than $31,099 and half make more. This with 70% of individuals making 50,000 or less. And then it has a nice little chart, very easy to read chart. It goes into the numbers here. If you have less than ninth grade education, the median income is $16,267. Between 9th and 12th grade, no diploma, so you went to high school and you didn't graduate, the median income is $17,116. If you're a high school graduate, you're at the $25,785 mark. Some college, no degree, $30,932. And then associate's degree, you're at about $35,000. And then basically if you get your bachelor's degree or more, master's degree, professional degree, then you start to continue to trend up. So it really highlights the disparities between educational attainment and your ability to make wealth in this country. In 2016, the District of Columbia had the highest per capita income at $50,567, while Mississippi had the lowest at $22,694. The 25th and 26th ranked states were Ohio and Maine, with an average income of 29,604 and 29,164 respectively. And that's pretty interesting that our nation's capital in 2016 has the highest per capita income. I wonder why that is. A Bankrate survey in 2017 found that 59% of Americans don't have the savings to pay an unexpected expense of $500 and would need to put it on a credit card, ask for help, or cut back for several months to manage it. A similar Federal Reserve report in 2015 said that 75% of Americans could not pay a $400 emergency expense out of their checking or savings account. For average Americans with high school diplomas or some college, the median net worth hovers around $36,000, including home equity. 63.7% of Americans own their home, down from 69% in 2004. So there's less and less home ownership over the last 10 years. And then he also continues to go on to the disparities between the racial gap. He says that Black and Latino households holding dramatically lower assets across the board, and whites and Asians literally having 8 to 12 times higher levels of asset on average while owning homes at dramatically higher rates. 75% and 59% for whites and Asians versus 48% and 46% for Hispanics and blacks. He also talks about the difference between men and women. Women-led households have 12% less wealth than male-led households, and women on average make 20% less than men. That's an interesting statistic. I noticed he didn't really go too deep into how he calculated that statistic, and there's no chart for that one. But I'd be interested to see how that one was taken, just because on average women do work less hours than men do. We tend to use the stock market's performance as a shorthand indicator of national well-being. However, the median level of stock market investment is close to zero. Only 52% of Americans own any stock through a stock mutual fund or self-directed 401k or IRA. Yeah, this part is very interesting because, I hear a lot of people talk about the stock market as if it's some sort of indicator. Donald Trump talks about it a lot. He talks about the stock market and how well the stock market's doing. And I'm curious to know if, as a real American, do you think that the economy should be judged off of solely the stock market, or do you think that's a good indicator? Because it says at the bottom, 80% of Americans only own 8% of all stocks. The top 20% own 92% of stock market holdings. So as you can see, 92% of stock market holdings belong to the top 20%, so the very rich. The percentage of people across all groups, white, black, Asian, Latino, is going down, while home ownership is going down for all groups, and especially fast for blacks and Latinos. level of education for women is actually going up. Women are actually achieving more education. But in this chapter, it really doesn't dive too much into student loan debt. I wonder how that all kind of would factor in, because that surely is a big factor in today's economy. There's an overloading amount of student loan debt that cannot be defaulted on. So, just to close out with a statement on Andrew Yang saying just exactly how he feels about what a normal American is and what exactly he means by the war on normal people. He says, the normal American did not graduate from college and doesn't have an associate's degree. He or she perhaps attended college for 1 year or graduated from high school. She or he has a net worth of approximately 36,000, about 6,000 excluding home and vehicle equity, and lives paycheck to paycheck. He or she has less than $500 in flexible savings and minimal assets invested in the stock market. These are median statistics, with 50% of Americans below these levels. So obviously, guys, this isn't everybody. There are people who are obviously doing well, but if you look at the numbers and you just base it off the median, which is a good indicator, I believe, better than the mean, just because I think it more accurately displays working Americans. There are several people, there are a lot of people. By the numbers, the majority of people are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have a lot of money invested in stocks. They don't have less and less people are I guess pursuing the American dream and becoming homeowners. And millennials, it's projected to be much, much less. People will stop owning cars as robot cars start to hit the streets, and we have more of the sharing economy. It's projected that people will stop owning cars, so that's another way to lose out on equity. So when the jobs start to disappear in large numbers due to technological advances, normal Americans won't have a lot to fall back on. So that's pretty much how this chapter ends. Like I said, I think this was a very interesting chapter. I think it really sets the stage, sets the table for, I think, a lot of his proposals that he's going to get into further in the book. This is definitely not everything in here is absolutely new for me. I actually did know a lot of this, but it's really interesting to really look at it and break it down by the numbers and see how the charts are all laid out and see just how everything really lays out, because there's statistical anomalies every single day. Just because you don't go to college doesn't mean you can't be highly successful in this country. That's what makes, I believe, America one of the best countries on earth, just the level of entrepreneurship. But if you just look at the numbers, it is crazy to see that your level of education has a lot to do with how well you do in this society. And yeah, so this chapter was pretty good, very interesting, and that is my take.